Am I the butthole for kicking my son and his wife out after they took my daughter's room? I'm a single mom of two, Dale 22, and Kim 15. My late husband passed away when Kim was 10. It was too much because it's hard being a single mom. Everyone in my life has never stood by me. Where I'm from, society tends to be harsh on single moms. I always felt much stress with all the responsibilities and everyone expecting me to give up. There were many times when I felt like a failure, and I never want to be seen as a failure in my children's eyes. I want them to look up to me, learn from my experiences, and learn to stand by themselves and be strong. Kim is the apple of my eye. She went through so much. I tend to be overprotective of her, as they say. I was with someone, a police officer, who was nice to me, but once I noticed how poorly he treated Kim. I told him to leave immediately. I decided to focus on Kim. Dale and his wife are expecting. He's been unemployed for months, and they left their rental apartment and moved in with us temporarily. However, his wife started disrespecting Kim's privacy. Walking into her room constantly, taking her things and ruining them. They brought boxes of baby stuff and stored them in Kim's room. I told her to move the boxes to the storage room, but Dale made excuses that the stuff might get damaged. Dale and his wife talked about staying for a few more months. She's 8 meters pregnant, until after the baby is a few months old. His wife suggested that my daughter move into my room and they take her room and turn it into a nursery. I said no, it's not up for discussion. Dale understood, but his wife didn't like it. Kim came to me saying Dale's wife is trying to convince her to give her room to her nephew. I told Dale's wife firmly to stop annoying Kim. Yesterday I came home and found Dale moving Kim's stuff out of her room, replacing it with their baby stuff. Kim was in the living room waiting for me. She was crying. I was livid. Dale's wife made her a sandwich to calm her down. I saw Kim's room. Her bed was moved. Her fave posters, her closet and graphic art, some were put there by her dad. I confronted them. Dale said it was his wife's idea and told him she'll work it out with me later. I got into an argument with her. I lashed out at her after she said Kim can take the storage room. I told them to leave immediately. They argued for an hour, then left. My mom and sister called me in the evening, asking how I could kick my own son out, and told me to let them move back in. I refused, and now they're calling me bad mom, saying I'm playing favorites. Dale's wife talked about putting the nursery together and taking pictures of it to share on a Facebook page for everyone to see. That's what Dale told me, which made me feel upset, to be honest. Dale and his wife could easily have shared their room with a baby for a few months. You and your daughter were already making a great sacrifice sharing a home with a newborn. That wasn't good enough. They think that everybody should have to sacrifice for their child, but that is not how the world works. You have a responsibility to protect your daughter, make decisions in her best interest. That is what you did here. You are not the butthole. You are a wonderful mother who was forced to make a painful decision to protect her child. Well done. I suggested that, but Dale's wife didn't like it. I understand that they're struggling. But this has been Kim's room since she was little. It's her safe place. She has a lot of memories with her dad in it. The posters they removed were put there by her and her dad. So these are her childhood memories they ruined. It's not okay to do that. I feel like they were planning to stay for as long as possible by taking over the second bedroom. You're absolutely doing the right thing. NTA, a newborn does not need more space than a 15-year-old. Dale and his wife were told no, then turned around and threw Kim out of her own room. Their baby is their responsibility, and they are the ones who should be making sacrifices. Demanding that Kim make a sacrifice for their baby is way out of line. Throwing her out while you were out is beyond crafty. Tell these relatives that they can feel free to move them in and give up their own bedrooms and move into a storage room for this baby. Isn't it generally recommended the baby sleep in the same room at least for the first couple months anyways? Yeah, just looked it up. Until 6 months it's recommended baby sleep in same room as parents during the night. Yup. It reduces SIDS rates. So it's not just a generic recommendation, it's easier and safer for a newborn baby to be close to parents. 6 months is a minimum. I think the ideal is supposed to be a year of co-sleeping. By this I mean sleeping in the same room/room sharing where baby is in an appropriate bassinet without suffocation hazards and not in the parent's bed itself. There's no way original poster is a butthole here. Not only does her daughter need her room, it can be a way to help newborns stay alive to keep them in the room with mom and dad. A newborn absolutely doesn't need a whole separate room to themselves. There's a bit of a misconception here. Alone, back, crib, or bassinet. The ABCs of safe sleep are base 0 for SIDS. You can further reduce with the use of a pacifier, fan circulation, and room sharing. However, not using these items and room sharing doesn't inherently raise the risk of SIDS. I can link a few things if people are interested. Just mentioning so people understand that you're not inherently wrong by using a nursery if you have one. Not stealing your little sister's room, ops son. It doesn't raise the risk by not doing these things, but by room sharing it reduces the risk. Yes, I should have been clear. Risk reduction of SIDS, however, does help an infant stay alive by reducing risk of death. I'm standing by that. It's just how it's framed. It doesn't raise the risk by not doing these things, but by room sharing it reduces the risk. Yes, how are they not the same thing in relation to each other? Sort of like, giving a discount for paying before a certain date is effectively the same as charging more for not paying by that date. The difference is just whether you market the latter as a penalty or the former as a discount. I'm not interested in why they're quibbling. I say this, but I restated it so they wouldn't quibble. I'm sorry, what? The natural state for humanity for thousands of years was newborns staying near their parents constantly. By definition, the kid being in the same room is the norm. That means that any actions taken which alter that norm are automatically the variable. In other words, yes, having a nursery does in fact increase the risk of SIDS from what the normal risk is. Just to add as an aside, sleep guidelines depend on the country. For instance, if you're in Canada, pack and plays aren't recommended for sleep by Health Canada. Interesting, is that a new guideline? My kid is 2.5 and he slept in one from birth to 8 months. I don't remember finding any info about that at the time. I'm in Ontario. I know he wasn't supposed to sleep in the napper attachment, but it was okay to sleep in the actual PNP. Good question. I'm not sure when it was added. It says, playpens are not intended to be used for unsupervised sleep because they do not meet the same safety requirements and are not as durable as cribs. It's from WebLink. I had a friend with 6 younger siblings. The kids did not get their own rooms until they hit their teen years, and you know what? Until the kids turned 13, they didn't really mind sharing the rooms since they all got along. It worked out because they had a 5-bedroom house and the kids went off to college, and then the next oldest would move into the rooms. I think the ideal is supposed to be a year of co-sleeping. By this I mean sleeping in the same room/room sharing where baby is in an appropriate bassinet without suffocation hazards and not in the parent's bed itself. That is the standard set by doctors, yes. Source: 2 kids under 4. Sounds like she wanted a nursery to put on social media. There's no real need for a nursery with a newborn, other than it's easier to have everything in one place. We never did a nursery until our child was older, 10 or 11 months, because you need to be up for breastfeeding/feeding anyway, and it's safer to have the child in your room for SIDS. We moved our son's crib into the nursery when he was reliably sleeping through the night. Sounds like she wanted a nursery to put on social media. Sounds like she is nowhere near ready to be a mom. Neither son nor Dill are. Son's been out of work for months and yet they decided to have a baby? There's plenty of jobs out there, you just need to be willing to work. It may not be what the son is trained for, but there are jobs out there for the taking. My degree is in software. I've been in grocery store management for half a decade. I've been in retail and retail management ever since I graduated college 3 months after the dot-com crash, when my, and everyone else's, lucrative software job evaporated when the companies went belly up or froze hiring. Yeah. Choose, this baby probably is an accident. I mean, her husband is 22 and they had to move in with his mom. They are barely adults and not independent or established yet, decided to have a child. It's best that original poster gets them out now, before the baby is born and the demanding entitled attitudes get worse. Yeah. They were never planning on moving out. Not the butthole. Not the butthole. Dale's wife is an entitled butthole. She feels she has dominance over your own home and feels she can bully your daughter any way she sees fit. This is not a woman you want living in your house. Exactly. She was told no, Kim is not moving into her mother's room. She was told no, Kim is not moving into the storage room that, in their eyes, is not even good enough for baby supplies. She was told no, and started putting pressure on a vulnerable teenager. She was told no, and then effing did it anyway. Destroyed precious possessions of Kim's. Put her through extreme emotional distress. Zero empathy. Zero respect. Zero understanding that other people's property belongs to them. Zero consideration for the owner of the house. If I were up, I would blast back at every post she made on Facebook, including a lamentation that her first grandchild is going to be raised by a greedy, heartless and self-centered, ARGH. Mad. Poor person's gold, money bag. Not the butthole, and to add, Dale is spineless in this relationship. Calling him spineless makes it sound like he doesn't agree with his wife. They're both users. They are being choosing beggars. They have zero right to make any demands of you, your daughter or your home. They should be grateful you put a roof over their head and should keep quiet other than to thank you. NTA. Not the butthole. I wish my mom had been as protective of the sanctity of my room as you're being with Kim. Thank you for that. A baby doesn't even need a separate room right away. I have a 4-month-old and she's still sleeping with us in a bassinet next to our bed. I wouldn't be surprised if their next move would be kicking out original posters so they could have the master because they're parents now. Not the butthole at all. You stood up for your child like any mother would. This may be an unpopular opinion, but babies don't need their own room. When we were infants, we shared a room with our parents until we were weaned. I slept on a cot by my parents' bed until I was old enough to sleep in a real bed without worrying I would fall off. Not the butthole. If your mom and your sister feel you were wrong, then maybe they can open up their home to Dale and his wife? What about wife's family? Maybe they can open their home up to them? You were and are protecting your child, Kim. This isn't the first time they call me a bad mom. Soon as my late husband passed away, my own family criticized me and put a lot of pressure on me. My daughter is my priority, it's my duty as her only parent to protect her. Not the butthole, but do be careful of how much overprotecting you are planning to do. This case is obviously valid, so no judgment here, but some parents are not able to stop their overprotective attitude to the point that it might blind them of them actually causing harm to their kid and ruin the relationship later on. Just letting you know. Not really the current problem. So, is it bad of me to advise her to be careful after her post and replies of her mentioning that she needs to overprotect her? Better to be safe than sorry, and it doesn't hurt you in any way. Just continue reading other replies if you disagree. I think it is bad advice when someone is heroically protecting their kid to say, be careful you don't protect them too much. Hey firefighter, thanks for extinguishing the orphanage, but don't put out too many fires. No, this guy is right. My mom put out fires, but when I got older she didn't trust me to put any out myself. It affects the relationship. Valid advice. Agree to disagree. There's definitely a limit to such an action before it starts hurting your kids' independence and actions as they grow up. Have a wonderful day. Edit. I think you need to reread my post. I wasn't judging her for her actions on this case. It was wonderful. I was just worried about her current mention of her need to overprotect her child. Thus my post, as the child might get hurt because of it as she grows up. Absolutely. My mother was very much overprotective and I had to go to therapy for years to work out the mental damage it did. You can, and should, be appropriately protective of your children like original poster is here. Many parents don't realize they are being overprotective, so this is good advice that you gave, to be careful to not be too overprotective, especially since original poster mentioned being overprotective in their post. Perhaps, but this post doesn't give us enough information to warrant that kind of warning. When the hell has putting out too many fires been a bad thing? This was a ridiculous comparison. Well, I can think of a couple different reasons why giving her this advice is overstepping. This is meant as kindly as possible, I'm not trying to attack you. 1. We only know of this incident. If original poster had given us other examples of her overprotectiveness, I could understand you wanting to give her this advice. 2. Original poster seems to think that this incident is her being overprotective, whereas I think most people in this thread would agree that she hasn't been overprotective at all. This tells me that she might misjudging the steps she's taken to protect her daughter as overprotective when she's really just doing what any normal mother would do. 3. Original poster has hinted that she's not from the United States. She may live in a country/culture where her overprotectiveness is actually saving her daughter from things that are normalized, like arranged marriages, etc. The entitlement displayed by son and wife, oldest siblings, oldest son, hint at this as well. The second two are complete conjecture from me, and I admit that. My point is that we really don't have enough info from original poster to give her parenting advice beyond this incident. I believe it's overstepping when you really don't know the rest of her story. Yeah, she almost certainly doesn't need unsolicited parenting advice from a complete stranger on effing Reddit laughing out loud. Your comment doesn't make any sense, as she was the one that posted in Reddit for strangers' opinions in the first place. Expect everything as a result. Ignoring any further replies, I don't care what you or others think. I just gave my thoughts about it and want to move on from this topic. Rule 9. Do not ask for advice. This is not an advice sub. So, people can share their opinions, but this sub isn't for sharing their advice. It's in the rules. Not the butthole, piggybacking, you sound like you're a good mom. If you're ever doubting yourself, talk to a therapist. They can give professional insights that someone closer to the situation may not be able. They'll be able to tell the point being protective crosses into overprotective. Your son and wife are also adults who are about to have their own child, so they should stop acting like children with this "I want it so I'll take it" attitude. You sound like an amazing mom. You are dealing with what you've been given, and it sounds really tough. I hope you have other supportive people in your life who you and your daughter can turn to. Oh, thank you so much for your kind words. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.